Hello. If you're new to this channel, welcome. If you're coming back, if you've been here before, I greatly appreciate you coming back and sticking around. I'm developing this channel as much as I can. I want to mention why I've privatized a number of my videos. I don't remember how many there are, but I privatized them a couple of times. I figured at some point I was giving away too much personal information, and that's why I privatized some of them. And then I was going up for a job. I was hoping to get a job that required security checks and so forth. And somebody advised, excuse me while I move the camera image of me talking while I talk. Let me move this over so it's not distracting. There we go. Okay, I can just talk to a blank desktop screen. So I wanted to apply for this job that required security clearances and so forth. So somebody at my current job recommended that I privatize all my social media, and given something that happened recently to me, which is tied in with why I privatized some of them at the beginning to begin with, early on to begin with, I figured I'm just going to privatize all of my YouTube videos up until that point. It looks like nobody called me back, so, well, actually, I got an email back saying that I wasn't being considered any longer. So from a certain point onward, I made those videos public. I began to make public videos, and I've gone back to make public some of the more recent videos. So in some sense, I wanted to call this a welcome back video. There's a new subscriber I caught. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I know who you are, and I've been watching your channel for a little while, and I appreciate the videos that you put up. Decent person. So I wanted to explain something about this channel. The main purpose of it is to self-reflect. I enjoy being in front of the camera, and I wanted to develop my on-air persona skills, my speaking skills in general. I think I'm a good speaker. I think I have a good voice. And I'm also a quite introspective person. So I wanted to talk about philosophy, about my interests in the world, and I wanted to understand myself better. That's why I called my channel Introspection with Jeff. I figured as I'm understanding myself better, perhaps I can help you, the viewer, understand yourself better, or at least be open to new avenues for exploring your own mind and how you think and what makes you unique. The inspiration for this channel was partly from someone that I knew in my past who said that I have a lot of ideas to share with the world, and in so many words said it would be a tragedy if they weren't public. And I've always felt that way myself. I have actually a mental list of books that I wish people would actually read. I think it would open their eyes quite a bit. One of them, well, a few of them, helped me conceive my perception of God, and I'm Jewish, by the way, and that jibes in that model of what God, of the nature of God, my own view of the nature of God jibes in many ways with the deity in the Bible, the Jewish Bible specifically, in ways that people wouldn't necessarily relate to or understand. In other words, I suspect that they usually think of the God in the Bible. First of all, many of them don't read the Bible, but a number of them, and this is not a religious channel per se. They see God in some way, in some certain way, and they don't understand. First of all, they don't understand Hebrew, and they don't pick up on nuances and what's going on behind the scenes, the model of deity behind the scenes. So 3 of these books on my mental list jive together in certain ways and describe a model or form a model that correlates with Kabbalah. Look into Kabbalah, what it is, the authentic Kabbalah, the Jewish texts which explain the nuances and what's going on behind the scenes behind the Bible and other biblical texts. It's kind of like the metaphysical sort of science of the Jewish outlook, the Jewish model of the universe. It's the best way I can phrase what Kabbalah actually is. Anyway, there are 3 books. Sometime I'd like to mention this. There's another book, there's another series of books about generational archetypes and this pattern in history that keeps repeating. And there are a number of other books. I'd like to devote a video perhaps to mentioning basically something like the top 10 books or a series of books you should all read sometime in your life to have your eyes opened. Unless, of course, they're wrong. Which case, I apologize for steering you off, but I don't think so. I have strong suspicions about these books. So sometime I want to do that video. Let me see. So I explained the purpose of the channel. I explained why I started the channel. I have quite a few videos that you can't see right now. They're privatized. But I'll go through sometime, or I will start anew as I am now and simply do updated video versions of what I had talked about before. But now that I'm about a year older since I started this channel, I've picked up some things. I can do those videos over again in a sense. And Dramatica is another thing I'd like to talk about in a video. I've talked about it quite a bit before. It's a theoretical model of how storytelling is structured. Its premise is that the mind is working through a problem from 4 different perspectives, and a story, such as a film or a TV show, that's well told, that's fully told, is working its way through a problem. It's the mind working its way through a problem from 4 different perspectives, and it generates out a whole story if you tell it well. If you're thematically, if you're hashing through all the themes, so forth, it's covering all bases until you get to the climax, where you either go with your gut instinct or you change, and so forth and so on. But it's a whole theory, and that's another avenue I'd like to do another video on. Amazon. I'd like to mention that I published 4 texts on Amazon using Kindle. And one is an adult content short story. Before that, I wrote out an essay. It's a story, my personal story, of how I evolved from 1986, the end of '86, really, completely new to Star Trek, which is my favorite TV show, to about 7 years later when I was a fully fledged Star Trek fan, and I thought it was a nice read. it would be a nice read for both fellow Star Trek fans and somebody new who's not necessarily aware of the value of the show. I think it's one of the best shows that's ever existed. And the purpose of the show is quite unique. It's optimistic, it shows a bright future, and one thing I wanted to convey is that in the show, the relationships between the characters is more constructive, for the most part, more peaceful. Now, that doesn't mean that there's quite dramatic action and dynamic action and argument between characters. There certainly is. That makes for good drama. But it's told in quite a unique way. It's told, first of all, very dramatically. It's told, I want to say sort of on the nose, sort of more bluntly, where they're actually hashing out ideas and concepts. So, making a divergence into Star Trek for a moment, I think Star Trek has good drama. In other words, good human personal drama that explores the human condition, how what it is to be human, and so forth and so on. Two, it's visually stunning and wonderful. I mean, granted, the production budget, for example, in the original TV show, they had, it was an expensive show at the time, and they had a limited TV budget. But they still push the envelope, no matter what era, no matter what TV series incarnation or iteration of Star Trek it is. They push the boundaries, or have pushed. I haven't seen the newer shows, but from the original Star Trek through the movie, the animated series, the movies, The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, they've pushed the boundaries in terms of special effects. So that's exploring the human condition through exciting, dramatic action and drama, character drama. To stunning effects that show off the concept, the what-if concepts. It's sort of like the Greek gods. It's sort of like mythology in the sense that you have awe-inspiring concepts like the Earth blowing up, time running backwards, a black hole swallowing us up. I'm trying to think of it. Just science fiction concepts, what-if concepts displayed visually. It's just simply stunning. It's like Greek mythology where you have the the giant gods walking around, titans walking around. You have flames coming. I mean, like in Greek mythology or other mythology, you have flames coming out. All these visually stunning things. You have things like that in Star Trek. So that's human condition. You have visually stunning effects, showing off amazing what-if concepts. You have an optimistic future. And you have something about curiosity, something that inspires the viewer's curiosity and the viewer's mind. I was watching, well, some years back, quite a few years back, I was watching a video cassette. This is turning into a Star Trek, but no, it's worthwhile. It's my favorite show of all time. I was watching an interview on the Tomorrow Show hosted by Tom Snyder, and he was interviewing a few people from the original Star Trek cast, and DeForest Kelley mentioned that he had that there was an experience where they were on the set filming an episode, and these parents, I imagine it's the parents that were there with their child. I don't remember. I think she was a 15-year-old, because this is just him telling the story, he, I don't want to get blacklisted or whatever by YouTube. How do I phrase that? it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, you can say there are certain things that you could say before, but now you'd get like zapped and so forth by the words you choose. Mentally, she wasn't coming across as capable as the average person her age. I'll put it that way. And she hadn't, he said that the parents told him she hadn't uttered a word in 15 years. And sometime they happened to have Star Trek on. And after a while, she started making noises, and they took her to a therapist, and I imagine a speech therapist, and she began talking. And so they were visiting the set, and with her, they didn't. He said that they didn't bring her on directly onto the set because I guess the way he put it, I'm trying to disguise this. Perhaps there was some concern about her condition. They didn't want to bring her on directly onto the set. That's a very good way of saying, a very direct way of saying that Star Trek sparks a natural, instinctive curiosity in human beings to want to explore. Like, for example, the phrase "live long and prosper," that's a Vulcan greeting in the show. And if you actually think about it, it's two very good wishes. It's may you have long life and may you prosper. Not necessarily in terms of financial gain, but just simply prosper in enriching your life. And the opening theme where it has Kirk saying, this is the Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. And then, of course, they changed it later on to where no one has gone before. That's one of the most direct phrases or expressions of the human desire to, first of all, not stay where it is and atrophy, but to stretch oneself out and explore and gain new experiences and grow. I'm even saying, I'm not trying to put on an image. I'm starting to tear up. Gain new experiences and to grow. Strange new worlds, meaning explore new frontiers and new arenas in your life. To seek out new life and new civilizations, to seek out these new experiences, and to go boldly go where you haven't been before. And that captures a lot of Star Trek, the theme in Star Trek. So I hope more people watch this show. So I wrote an essay on my personal experience becoming and as a new Star Trek fan. So that's the adult science fiction, or that's the adult fantasy short story. That's that essay memoir about me becoming a Star Trek fan. And then, speaking of memoirs, I compiled different memoir essays covering different aspects of my life into book form. I'd like to lengthen it. It's a draft. And that's another one. And then the fourth one is a compilation, in other words, scanned images of my scripts and notes, some of them over my past writing experience, covering childhood all the way up through college. I skipped out the spec scripts for example, TV shows that are intellectual property of someone else. For example, I had written spec scripts. Let me explain what a spec script is. You probably know about fan fiction, right? A speculative script is a script written by probably a fan to show off their talent as a calling card to impress an agent or a producer. It's an example of their writing talent. Let me give you an example. I had written a couple of a few spec scripts for Married with Children because I enjoyed the show and I wanted to get into television. I figured that would be my future after college graduation. And also I just enjoyed the show and I wanted to be more of a part of it. That's something else that Star Trek really, really encourages in people instinctively. You probably know about the characterization of a Star Trek fan as dressing up in costume and knowing all sorts of references to this and minute details about that show and this character and that episode and the Star Trek and how the warp drive works and so forth. Number one, it's inspiring something within them to explore and learn our universe just in general. It's inspiring them to imagine what this universe that Star Trek depicts is, how it operates. Other TV shows like Law and Order or CSI or something like that, or even sitcoms, they don't have that potential because they're not creating an original universe out of thin air. Star Trek is set several centuries in the future. It has an enterprise. It has a fictional it has a fictional government. It has a fictional outfit akin to the U.S. Navy. It has a whole universe created. And as you pick up these references when watching the show, I think there's something innate in the human mind that if you're curious about it, you will start trying to figure it out and piece it together. And I think that's very natural, and I'm very much in that vein. My mind works very much that way. So anyway, so going back to spec script writing, I wanted to write like a Married with Children script and a Get Smart script, even though it had been off the air for a while, and scripts for these other TV shows, because I wanted to have fun exploring that universe. And I'm going to venture a guess that out of the spec script or fan fiction or whatever, one of the shows that probably encourages fan fiction or has the most fan fiction written about it is Star Trek. One of them, I would venture to guess, is Star Trek. Because it encourages that curiosity and a desire to live in that universe. And it's such an optimistic presentation of the future, like a possible future. So anyway, so back to my script writing. I figured I couldn't fit in these spec scripts for other people's TV shows into this book and charge money for them. So I left those out, but I left in some pretty good stuff. I put in screenplays for a few movies and one film project that sadly I still haven't gotten off the ground. I don't know if I ever will, but I hope something comes out of it. Maybe this is the only way that I can share it with the world. So I've been putting links to those texts sold on Amazon, those Amazon links, in the descriptions in these YouTube videos. The most recent YouTube videos, I've been putting them in. One is called Seeking Sunshine. That's the collection of the memoirs covering different aspects of my life. I named it Seeking Sunshine because each essay is an active effort or desire to want a better life for myself in a certain way, or to resolve something in my life in a certain way. I called the collection of my writing material, my creative writing material, I called My Story Work. It's pretty direct. And the short story that's adult, it has it doesn't have sex outright, but it has innuendo in it. And it's more for an adult audience. It's very interesting, and I'm proud of it. It's called Siren Call. And the fourth one, I think it's Life as a Star Trek Fan, something like that. I'm pretty sure that's the title. So there we go. There's that. What else do I want to cover here? Oh, song composition. Oh, yes. I'm glad I wrote these things down. All right, so I have been wanting to have a separate gig, and something I've shared. There's a hobby that I've become really good at. I don't know if I want to mention it because I keep privatizing these videos, and I keep self-censoring myself just to be on the safe side. There's a hobby that I'm very proud of that I built up, and it could be in league with performance, public performance. And so part of getting that look or that ability involves developing your voice, a wider range of voice capability. So a lot of those techniques also are involved in singing, developing a singing voice. And I thought of my mom when I was growing up. She encouraged me towards musical ability. She got me an electronic keyboard. I used to have it right here. I don't have it right here. It's packed away. I know exactly where it is. It's in the other room, of course, off camera. But I had some sense of a musical ability. It's my phone going off, of course, because I'm recording this video right now. I'll answer that later. Okay. All right. So, my encouraging my musical ability. I don't have much of a musical background, so I had also remembered that I had written poetry, some poems, and then in senior year, I wanted to impress someone. And that's when I began to write poetry, sort of more focused, more serious effort put into writing the poetry. And so for a reason, I stopped writing the poetry after high school graduation. But I realized I should not let that stop me. So I went back and sorry, I'm being distracted by that. I hope it's something good. I hope it's not a bad call. So I want to perform. I want to use these skills I've developed in the past year, a little over a year, to maybe develop a side hustle for myself. So if I can get those thoughts, if I can get the thoughts of that phone call off my mind. All right, so this past weekend, exactly a week ago, I watched some music videos and picked up some more nuance about how to compose a song, because I posted at least a couple of videos of newer poetry I've written, more along the lines of trying to make them into songs, but they seem to be more like poetry rather than song composition. So that's what got me started watching the videos again. And I noticed that what I was used to writing, was more like a collection of stanzas with chorus and so forth. And music, at least 1980s music, it's the style that I'm trying for, seems to be closer to having couplets rather than stanzas. Now, what I call a stanza is a 4-line thing where it's first line and second line ends with a word that rhymes with the fourth line and the third, and I got my cat, and I'm coming over Saturday night, gonna realize my dreams, gonna party every night, or something. The final 2 words match. That's what I've been calling a stanza. But I noticed that many times it's more like a couplet, where it's just one long phrase, and then the next phrase has the 2 words at the end rhyming. And maybe I should think about it more like that. And then I notice sometimes the background instrumental doesn't match the notes of the singer's melody, the vocalist's melody. And so that interested me. And I learned about beats per minute, and I thought about what musical instruments would be involved in a given song I'm writing. Just in general, if I sat down to compose a song, I'd have to think of more things than just the poetry. I'd want to think of course, the structure and perhaps shortening it down. Maybe I don't want a stanza. Maybe I just want a series of couplets with the chorus. Think about the beats per minute, and think about the instrumental that's going on behind the vocalist's melody. It's not necessarily matching the instrumental exactly. I also want to make a list of what songs I'd want to write, like an agenda. Maybe I can come up with 10 of them. Maybe I can come up with an album. I'd also been thinking about posing, learning how to pose better for camera angles. Maybe I can promote myself. I'm thinking of one place that where I might be able to perform. I met with the owner and just introduced myself and expressed this interest. I haven't heard back, but in the meantime, I'm trying to develop myself so that I can be better prepared. And that's about it. I feel like I better answer that call. So I guess I'm going to call it quits for right now, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.